I would say that the estimated optimal cesarean section rate in a population like Australia should be around 20%.
Is that what is it now?
I think that we are at 32 or 33%, or maybe 35%.
Perhaps some unnecessary ones. It's like my wife's story, who it was simply your dilation is taking too long, and I think you're tired, and so they started to intervene, and it didn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, that these are the situations where you could think, so to say, whether that cesarean would really have been needed if you would give it a little bit more time. Mm. But the difficulty here is obviously that fetal distress, so a baby getting into trouble, is a big issue. Obviously, there is litigation, so you'll never experience any litigation or problems if you do the cesarean. The problem is always happening if you don't do it.
Really?
So, well, in general, yes. All the cases.
That's a huge incentive.
Well, that is something that is in the back of the mind of everyone.
Understood.
Obviously.
Yeah, it really struck me that if one person I know, my wife, went through this pressure of just forget this natural birth you're trying to do in the birthing suite, just get a cesarean. If she was feeling that pressure, that must be replicated across hospitals in the Western world. And honestly, cesareans are much, I wouldn't say easier. There's a long recovery. It's a serious operation, but it is simpler. It's planned. Planned cesareans.
Yeah, but I mean, there's nothing against one of my friends, professional colleagues in the UK, is a leading professor there herself. She has a family with children, and she chose to have elective cesareans immediately. As far as I know, I don't know all the details, but without a clear medical indication, and you couldn't have someone better informed than she, right? Yes. So there is also a big issue here in terms of preferences of patients or women. So you want in my field who that should be weighted also, right? There is similar medical situations with similar interventions available where women can choose different, and there is nothing. I think that's a good thing, actually.
So when you say the ideal rate is about 20%, you don't mean ethically, you mean just medically indicated?
In terms of if you would count the cesarean sections where the outcome after a cesarean section is better than pushing for a vaginal birth, I think the optimal rate is around 20%.
And would you have a problem, being an expert in this, would you have a problem if it ended up being 60 or 70%? Through choice, through convenience.
No, that's not in itself. Okay. I think the requirements for that are adequate information. So women must be very well informed for the risks and side effects and the good things for this intervention, but also for subsequent pregnancies. So what we have seen in the last decades is an enormous amount of placenta-related complications in subsequent pregnancies because the placenta interferes with the uterine scar. So, and that increases after with the number of cesarean sections that you have. Complicated pregnancies, complicated deliveries can require hysterectomy. So by doing a cesarean section in your first pregnancy, that potentially interferes with your capacity to have future pregnancies.
Which is why once you've had one Caesar, they're generally all Caesars after that.
Yeah, so that's also a different situation if you're 41 and this is your last pregnancy that you achieved with a lot of effort, so to say.
Yes.
Is a completely different situation than somebody from 22 who is pregnant and still has a complete reproductive life ahead. Another thing that maybe is not so known is that we have published, but also other groups have published, that a cesarean section interferes with your capacity to achieve a second pregnancy.
It does?
Yeah, we know this from IVF series.
How?
Well, apparently the cesarean scar is interfering with the capacity. So we know this from large groups of women undergoing IVF, and we have compared women. They all had a previous baby, but half had it after a cesarean section, half had it after vaginal delivery, and then the vaginal delivery group has a 10% higher pregnancy rate.
That's a very important consideration for just jumping on the Caesar train.
Yeah, and I doubt whether that is really shared with everyone
Right.
at the moment of having a cesarean section, so to say.